Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today, before we get into the video, we have some spoilers for Campaign 3 up to episode 83. So if you aren't caught up quite yet, go get caught up and then come watch this video, or not. It's up to you if you want to be spoiled or not, but this is your last warning for spoilers before we move on into the video. Spoilers. So with the spoiler warning out of the way, we can now get into the meat of the video, which is Imogen the key to everything? Is she the key to everything that needs to happen with Predathos, his release? This is prompted by the dream walk session that they did while on the moon in episode 83, where Imogen heard this.
Down. Down. And then you feel it shift as it notices you.
This might have been a mistake.
And you hear in your mind, in your soul, in every vibrating atom in your body, you feel it. Welcome home. Join us. Wake us. Make a wisdom saving throw for me, please.
Did you say wake us? Wisdom saving.
This prompted a part of the party to believe that Imogen is potentially the key to everything that's going on, mainly Chetney and Imogen. Because, first of all, she is exalted, and they acknowledge this. She is exalted compared to Fern. Laudna believes that if Fern were to try to do any of these dream walking segments like Imogen does, it wouldn't have the same results. They wouldn't have the same sort of pull. Now, there is no way to prove that without trying to do a dream walk, but she's never had a dream like this. Of all of the times that we've had them all sleeping, Fern has never, to my recollection, had a dream where she's ended up on the moon where she hasn't been dream walking with Imogen. So the fact that she doesn't do it and Imogen does immediately further the point that Imogen might be a very useful key, or the key to unleashing Predathos, or whatever the heck the Ruby Vanguard / the Imperium are trying to do on Ruidus. What's interesting about this idea of Imogen being the key is it adds a lot of context to earlier moments in the campaign. Odahan Thule attempting to awaken her exalted form being one of them, being that if she is the key, of course Odahan is damn well aware that she is, especially if Liliana is aware as well that Imogen is the key. It makes sense as to why Odahan would try to sort of awaken her exalted form. They need her, and it might not be as simple as she is the single key. There might be a handful of keys, as maybe they need as many exaltants as necessary to sort of awaken Predathos, but it still adds context to the moment as to why it was so desperately needing to happen. They need another exaltant, and potentially they need the exaltant. And this whole Imogen is the key idea adds a lot of context to what Liliana has been doing throughout the campaign. She's been reaching out to her, telling her to run, telling her to, stay away from all of this. And I think that really adds a lot of context to what she's been doing throughout the campaign if Imogen is the key to everything. But it also sort of gives us a clue as to which side Liliana is on. Now, not only did she have her little hesitation moment back in episode 51 or 52 during the dig site, assault moment, but if Liliana were truly evil, wouldn't she want her daughter to be there with her, to join the cause, to help releasing Predathos? Wouldn't that make way more sense than to telling her daughter to stay away? She needs to join this, so that way, if Predathos is released, when it is time to pick the people who will still remain, it's not just, I'm just going to let everyone who is a part of me survive. I'm only going to let the people who are following me survive. And if Imogen doesn't follow Predathos, wouldn't that put her at risk? Wouldn't Liliana know this? That there is a potential risk of Imogen being, seen as someone who's not on the side of Predathos, and bam, she gets wiped out too. I think what's actually happening with Liliana is that she is, in fact, working for both sides, or realistically pretending to work for one side, being the Ruby Vanguard, and is actually trying to help everyone else on the other side and sort of slow things down, or potentially she has been, taken over and she's slowly breaking through, or has occasional moments of breaking through, and that is when she reaches out to Imogen telling her to stay away. That is how she knows Imogen is a key, because she is part of the hive mind that has been sort of created by Predathos, and she's trying to sort of make sure that Imogen doesn't become part of it, because then they have the last key. Imogen says in this episode that she doesn't think she'll be able to sort of break free from the hold that Predathos has if they try to do this dream walking thing again. She thinks that that was the last time they'll ever be able to do it without her being sucked in, and if she does get sucked in, that's game. That is it. They're done. This is what she will not be able to break free of it without extensive help from the others, which is something that is possible to do, I would imagine. But she's worried that that's what happened to Liliana, that Liliana is now part of the hive mind, and that she is occasionally breaking free, and that is why she's giving warnings to Imogen. Chetney brings up a very good question during this whole moment, which is, what is taking the Ruby Vanguard so long to sort of release Predathos? They've had 2 weeks without the Grim Verity and the Alliance with them to sort of not be interfered with. They didn't have anyone interfering with them during this period of time. They had 2 weeks. Now, of course, we do know there is a group of people who are against the Imperium, and they might be the ones holding them up. At the same time, there's 12 Exaltants total on the moon. Now, that doesn't include Imogen. Imogen is the 13th Exaltant. But there are 12 Exaltant on the moon. We learned this in the same dream that she was in, that she saw 12 super bright red lights compared to the other dim red lights. The dim red lights represent like people like Fern, who are born under the moon and then don't become exalted, but their big red lights become exalted. And if they had 12 other exalted already, and that was all they needed, then it makes sense. But if Imogen is like the final key or is the key, it makes sense as to why they couldn't release Predathos yet. They need her. And the words join us and wake us really add credence to this idea that she is super important and is necessary for their plans to move forward. And it brings up the idea of, is Imogen safe to be up here? Is it a good idea to have Imogen up here? Now, of course, it's a little late. They can't really go back. It'll be very dangerous for them because, one, they'd have to go back through the encampment they got to the Bloody Bridge through, and then they'd have to leave through the dig site again, which is all just terrible ideas stacked on terrible ideas. So realistically, Imogen's stuck here. And the key could potentially be stuck here on the moon now. But if that is the case, they have now put the keys within like a couple inches of the lock. It is way too close now. It is extremely dangerous if she is the key. And I can already tell there's going to be a handful of people kind of upset with the idea that one character in the party is more important than other characters in the party. But then I always think back to how everyone sort of relates to the campaign in different ways. And if you were to make everyone exalted Ruidus born, it wouldn't feel special anymore, which, you know, is something that needs to happen for a character to feel like the key to everything. One character is always going to sort of shine through as the leader or as some sort of, you know, important tool or whatever. Someone is going to end up feeling more important, especially when you think back to other campaigns. X character felt more important in X moment, and this is Imogen's moment to feel more important, right? Like Ford. Ford felt really important when they were dealing with a lot of the whole Uk'otoa stuff. Obviously, he was the main character during that moment, and that's, again, looking back to like the way this campaign is structured differently, about how this one is one long arc, and how beforehand they all had like a bunch of segmented arcs in campaigns 1 and 2. So realistically, this is sort of the fallout of having this one long storyline going throughout the entire campaign. We are at 80 episodes, 83 episodes of still dealing with Ludinus, Odahan, the Ruby Vanguard, etc. These characters who have been around from the beginning. Ira, the character who has been around from, you know, when Dorian was still there to now, is still relevant. These characters are all still relevant from the beginning to potentially the end. It would be the end, obviously, because that is what the whole story's been about. And we're finally getting some answers as we're on the moon. We're learning more and more about Exalted. We're learning more and more about Imogen's importance. And I would love to learn more about Fern's importance because, like I said, I always look back to Ollie's vision of her standing in the Fey Realm with Ruidus over top of them and the Fey Realm effectively being destroyed. That vision has always sort of stuck with me of Fern being super important in some way. And I'm still curious as to how that is. What is the importance to that moment? Is it going to happen? What does it represent? We still don't know. And that was asked ages ago. That was asked, I think, before Lana died. So that was pre-episode 30. It's been a long, long time since we've heard about that vision, and we still don't have the answer to it. So I'm very excited to learn more. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Imogen has that main character feel? Is she the MC? Is she the protag? Do you believe that she is some sort of key? What do you think Fern's sort of whole like connection to this is? Do you think she is going to be as important as Imogen? Obviously, I think they are all going to be important, but do you all think that Imogen is a key? So let me know. And with that, I'll see you guys on Friday for the recap of episode 84. Got to remember the numbers so I don't mess it up. episode 84 recap coming on Friday. I'll see you guys then. Peace.